Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
Welcome to this edition of Helping Seniors Television. I'm Kerry Fink, and on behalf of our president and founder, Joe Steckler, I want to welcome you to this program where our hope as a 100% local to Brevard County, Florida nonprofit is we are here to inform, educate, and connect seniors and their families to resources that are going to make a difference on their aging plan. Now, let me just take a moment, like I like to do, and explain an aging plan is a roadmap for your senior years. They always talk to us about having a plan. For example, when we go through school, they say, what's your plan when you're going to grow up? You know, what do you want to do? As you get a little bit older, people are coming to you and say, well, what's your plan for retirement? What do you want to do then? And this is an aging plan that what we really want to talk about is the things that are going to help you navigate your senior years to the best of your abilities. And so some of the things that we really like to do is get into areas that can make a huge difference. And one of those areas, the first time I heard the name Rock Steady Boxing, I was having pictures in my head of George Foreman in a ring or something like that. And it actually turns out it is very effective in helping people with Parkinson's. So we are so blessed to have Janice Moia with Rock Steady Boxing at Advance Fitness here with us today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You know, we were talking before the show began that you have an amazing amount of experience in physical therapy, that you worked for years as a physical therapy assistant, which led you into the role of personal training. And then what was funny to me is the same question I asked you, what does boxing have to do with Parkinson's? Apparently you asked this years ago yourself and found out, what is Rock Steady Boxing? Let's start there.
So Rock Steady Boxing is a type of training that people do when they get Parkinson's. It was started in, I don't remember the year, back in 2006, I believe, by a young guy named David Scott Newman. And he was diagnosed with Parkinson's at 49 years old. At 39. I keep getting the time.
Wow.
Yeah, 39 years old. Yeah. So he was very mad. He has a really good friend, a Golden Glove boxer. And I said, why don't you just come to the gym and start boxing? He started boxing and his symptoms decreased.
Wow.
Yes, simply said. So he's kind of started this group for people that were young onset Parkinson's people. And it just started to grow and grow. And for 6 years, he did it, just word of mouth, and we tried to do it for free because they're a 501 as well. And after 6 years, more and more people are calling, well, what about this? What about us who are older and getting Parkinson's? We want to do this too. We see these young people getting better. So how about, us getting better too? So then they started the whole foundation, and here we are 18 years later.
Wow. Well, it's an interesting conversation because I know that I had so many questions when I first met you and was asking you about this because, first of all, I didn't really understand how the two things were related. And then secondly, probably like a lot of us, we may not know as much about Parkinson's as we should until it hits us in our family. Is it okay if we back up a notch and talk about Parkinson's and then how you've discovered how this really can be an effective tool? Talk about that a little bit.
So my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's, so I was his caregiver. I was not yet a physical therapist assistant, so I didn't really know, what to look for and what was happening to him. So by the time he was diagnosed, I had gone through school, and he got diagnosed with Parkinson's. So I was able to be a little more, knowledgeable. And I did my papers in school on Parkinson's, everything, any extra credit or whatever, I did it on Parkinson's so I could learn more and more about it. So that was fun in itself to learn all that, to be able to be a caregiver and also know what to expect, because he passed away 20 years ago. So much has changed in the last 20 years. I mean, they didn't have any kind of program like this. And basically when they diagnosed you, they said, just get your affairs in order and, live the best life you can live and take this levodopa carbidopa. That was it.
Wow. Now I know that there are Parkinson's support groups and things like that because it's a very complicated thing to work your way through, as you discovered yourself. Do you think that's probably where you got the passion for chasing this down when you learned about the Rocksteady boxing program?
Yes. Well, when I first learned about it, like you said, I was retired and I was just working with people on the side and doing personal training. And I was getting more and more people with the balance issues, and they were Parkinson's people, and they were, how learn about this Rocksteady boxing. And my first thought was like you said, like, what's boxing? I'm not a boxer. I don't know how to box. So, I've never even, been in a boxing gym, for goodness sakes. So when I started reading about it and looking into the program, I mean, it just gave me goosebumps. I was like so intrigued by what they were saying it could do. And I was like, I gotta check this out. So I signed up for the training up in Indianapolis and went up there for 2.5 days of intense training and learning about their program. And they call it the Rocksteady Boxing Method. So they came up with this whole method of a style. Of course, you're not hitting each other. It's non-contact. And, they do things a little differently. When a boxer trains, they're hunched over because they're protecting all the time. We kind of keep them upright a little more because we don't want them to we're trying to fight that hunched over, the forward flexion of the body. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I guess I'm going to ask you some questions specifically about like the program itself when you get in there. But before I get there, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about when people are diagnosed with Parkinson's, what this seems to have done is help either delay the progression of the disease. And you said there's actually been instances where it's been able to kind of stop it in its tracks.
Yeah. I've witnessed it myself. You read they've done studies, but to actually see it, I mean, I've had people come in using canes or wheelchairs, walkers, who no longer use them anymore. People that didn't drive anymore, they can drive again from doing the program. They've done studies on the brains of people that do Rocksteady boxing and taking scans of different things, and they've actually seen new neural pathways being created.
Wow. So let me ask this question because I think, if I remember correctly, you are set up as a nonprofit.
Correct.
So in that, we often say this about the Helping Seniors. As a nonprofit, we'd call it technically a 501c3 is what they call us, but we have no reason to exist other than to help seniors of Brevard, which is our mission. But that's sort of the same thing that happens for you. You have no other reason to exist as Rocksteady Boxing other than to help people who are combating the Parkinson's disease. Let's talk a little bit about the exercises and things, because I remember the first time we sat down and we're talking about this, I was picturing a boxing ring and like, how does this work? Old people with fighting each other doesn't seem like that's really the best idea. And you're like, no, that's not what this is. There's not a boxing ring. It's the motions and things. Talk about what it actually is.
So they do come in and we put on boxing gloves. Mm-hmm. We have heavy bags. So I've got 8 heavy bags that hang from the ceiling. Mm-hmm. And we teach them the basics of the 4 punches of boxing. Mm-hmm. And what that does, it helps them create in the brain where your hands are to your feet, because a boxer has to know, how they move left, move right, move back, move forward. And, if you're in a certain stance, if you say you're the left foot forward, that's going to be my jab. Your back leg is your cross. Those are the only 2 punches. You have to remember where your feet are. But when you start going jab, hook, cross, now they're like, okay, which one's jab, which one's cross? You'll see them look down a lot, but it makes them be more aware of where their body is in space, which is called proprioception. So, and it also helps with their cognition. Mm-hmm. The cognition part comes in with the different combinations. Like, we have people that come in that have boxed before. They're like, boxer would never do this combination. We're like, right. We know. But isn't it hard to do? And he's like, well, yeah, because it doesn't flow. And I said, well, it might not flow, but your brain has to remember which hand to use, when, and why, And so, they look at me funny, but then they start doing it and they're like,
now it's clicking.
I see what you're doing.
That was another question I wanted to ask you about. So when we talk about Rocksteady Boxing, it's actually a program. Now, is it like a class? People come in and they join the class and everybody is working together for a period of time? Is that how it's set up?
It's all set up through class. Yeah. So that's the whole, it's called the Rock Steady Boxing Method. And that's came from headquarters up in Indianapolis. And it's basically, it's not just about the boxing because we take those gloves off and we do regular circuit exercises around the gym. You know, we change that circuit up for different timings, different amount of stations. Sometimes there's 10, sometimes there's 8, sometimes there's 20, you know, if we're really feeling a little like really pushing them. But so, we work on their balance and their coordination. It's, you know, it's the whole round circle. And the Rock Steady Boxing Method is all about the whole body and getting the brain to connect with the rest of the body.
You know, one of the things we talk about a lot in the Helping Seniors world is we say, we talk about getting your ducks in a row, making a plan that's going to help you live your best life that you can to navigate those senior years. But another thing we have as a corollary is don't try this on your own. So a lot of people really don't take the time to get the best expert help. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, as you talk about your own background of the decades of experience you have in the physical therapy world, and you tie that together with the experience you've had in the Parkinson's world as a caregiver, let alone the educational studies and things like that. But now when you bring all of that to bear into the work that you do with Rock Steady Boxing, it must really make you feel good to see the progress that people are able to make with this program as you go along.
It's overwhelming sometimes. It's very, it's heartwarming. It's just beautiful because I've had family members call me and say, "You changed my dad's life. You brought my mom back. You brought my dad back." Wow. You know, it's unbelievable. And people come up to me and say, you know, I didn't think I was ever going to take another vacation. I have one guy that's gone on 6 cruises this year, and he thought he was never going to go on a cruise again. And he's going, "Oh, I'm going on another one." And, you know, it's become the joke now, you know, Dennis and his cruises. So it's pretty cool.
You know, well, that was another point that I wanted to ask you about. So when people come to you, is it just for Parkinson's, or is it helpful for other people that may be having balance issues or things like that?
So the Rock Steady Boxing program is set up specifically for people with Parkinson's, or there's other parts of it they call Parkinsonisms, and that's a whole nother thing. But we do to accept those. They tend to be very off balanced. They participate in the lower functioning. It could be a gambit of different issues that they have. So we just work with them, do what they can do, and you know, try to let them have a good time. Yeah. So, but yeah, we keep it just Parkinson's because Parkinson's is such a unique disease. It's not a death sentence. You know, a lot of people, that's the first thing they think of when they're diagnosed. They're scared to death and they think they're going to die, but that's not the case. And when they come to the gym, they finally get them in the gym and they sit and they watch a class. They're like, "Wow, these people are doing stuff that I didn't think I'd ever do ever again." You know, jumping rope, playing boxing on a thing, playing frisbee and volleyball, and we do all that stuff in the gym. So it changes their perspective of what Parkinson's is really about.
So how do people find you? Is it that somebody has now gotten a diagnosis and then they're trying to find solutions, and then they say, "Well, I've heard of this thing called Rock Steady Boxing," or how do you find people are joining these classes?
So it's either family members are telling them, you know, "Oh, I heard about this, you know, this boxing class." And we're starting to get the doctors on board, which has been a great thing. I've had, you know, many calls this past summer, and I always ask, you know, "How'd you hear about us?" And they'll say, "Oh, my doctor told me." And I'm like, "Wow. What did they say?" You know, I always want to know what they think. Yeah. "Oh, they just told me to look up that boxing class." I go, "Well, that's better than not," you know, not saying anything. And because I've had so many boxers come in that have been coming to me and their doctors are like, "Wow, you look amazing. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
"Now I'm doing Rock Steady Boxing."
Wow.
So it's just a testimony.
The results speak for themselves.
Exactly.
Let's talk about where your facility is located.
So I'm on the corner of Croton and Sarno. It's a Sarno Business Plaza. It's not the Aurora. It's Croton. Everybody thinks it's down at the other end there, but it's Croton, and I'm right in the middle of the medicine shop and a Chinese food restaurant. And I've got 3,600 square feet. A couple offices in there. PT works in there, a private PT, so private pay. So it's a nice big open space. We got rubber floors, so if you do happen to fall, it's a pretty soft landing.
Yeah. So the place is actually set up specifically for this purpose.
Yes. It's like I said, we've got 8 heavy bags hanging from the ceiling, and then we've got 8 speed bags, which are the small bag. That's agility. I mean, hand-eye coordination, and then we have the double end bags too. So we have 8 of those along the walls, and we've got ropes, TRX, T-bands, Theraballs, all kinds of balance pads and balance things. I've got balance bars along the wall so that they have something to hold on to and take their hands away from. I always tell them, I want to see you wobble, because if you're just standing there holding on and just kicking your leg around, you're not getting anything out of it. It's when your body has to upright itself. That's what's teaching the brain. There's that muscle memory. So if they're out and about walking around and they do trip up, the body knows, oh, wait, I got to pull myself up, because that's what I had to do when I was standing on that uneven surface at the gym.
Interesting. And so walk me through what a class looks like. Are there different levels? Like somebody who comes in day one, are they in like a beginner's level and then you progress? Or is it kind of like these movements are really kind of universal and work across the board?
So basically we have 3 classes a day, 3 times a week. So we have 9 classes. The first 2 classes are for we call higher functioning. So basically they don't need anybody to be next to them. Maybe they have some balance with certain things, so we keep our eyes out for certain people. If you're new, you first come in, we usually put you with someone that's, if we have an extra coach on hand or a volunteer, you'll get with that person. One of our coaches will stand with you to teach you the boxing, move, the punches in the beginning. Most people want to help, that they come in, I'll help, Tom over there, or I'll help Susie, and the women kind of stick with the other women, and the men, it just depends. And sometimes they don't, and we try to, they always want to partner. We usually partner up everybody, and they always do. I'm like, okay, it's change partner day, go pick somebody else in the room, somebody you've never worked with before. So they have to, they keep moving around, and we do that. We'll do that just randomly, like at least once a week. We try to get them to switch up their partners, because I don't want them to get too comfortable with someone, because then they're just talking the whole time.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting point. So is this something that you do for a period of time, or is this something that once you're in it, this becomes a routine now for a while?
Yep. It's something that you sign up for probably for the rest of your life.
Okay.
So all of them, the majority of my people come 3 times a week. And the classes last for 90 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The first 2 classes, the afternoon class with the little bit slower functioning and less, fit. There's about an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
So what a class looks like is they come in. Usually they all get there early, because that's their time to visit with each other.
Sure.
And the camaraderie is one of the huge things with the Rocksteady Boxing method that they encourage. Open your doors early, keep them open late.
Yeah.
We don't rush people in, rush people out. We keep enough space in between each class so they can all hang out and talk with each other. So they get their gloves on. We do a warm up. We do about a 10 to 15 minute warm up, give or take, a few minutes here and there. And we've been changing that up a lot lately, because we have a new girl helping us out. And so she's been coming in and doing her thing. So they've been enjoying that. And then we put our gloves on and we box for anywhere from 20 to, 40, about 45 minutes. And sometimes a little less if there's less boxers. And so they get rest periods because somebody else is boxing. But we always try to tell them, do some shadow boxing in between. And while you're waiting, we have one of my clients was generous enough to donate. His son donated a computer and these 2 big TV screens. So now we put all the boxing sequences up on in a big TV so they can see them really clearly. We used to do the whiteboards.
Right.
So, but now they're like, well, we love this. This is great. So that was a great thing that we added.
So a question that probably should be asked is the, is this a private pay thing, or is it an expensive thing to get involved in the classes, or how does all that part of it work?
So basically, we do charge a fee. We call them donations now, because we are
a nonprofit.
So if you come 3 times a week, it's $75 a month. And when people go a month, because they
that's
think it's very,
incredibly
very
affordable.
inexpensive. And if you come twice a week, it's $55 a month. And the twice a week, it doesn't matter which 2 days you come, And the same thing with if you come to if you're in the 2 higher functioning classes, if one day the 10:15 works for you and the next day, Wednesday 12:45 works for you, it's all interchangeable. You're not set in one class. And so it makes it a little easier, especially in the first few months, because people have appointments. After a while, they get comfortable in a class and then they start scheduling everything around that specific time.
What an impressive way to go at this, because I was sitting there thinking, like, that's a very small price to pay if this is going to hold all of that at bay and possibly even arrest it in terms of its development, to just be able to have that. But not only that, though, you're not only having the benefit of what's happening physically, but like you said, relationally, because now you're talking to people who are in that same challenge with you. So you're kind of helping each other work your way through it.
Yeah, we do. It's so great to watch. We have this support group every Wednesday morning, and I open my doors at 9, and they start getting there right around 9, and starts at 9:30. And I let them run it.
Yeah.
I go back in my office and let them have their privacy, and they'll be like, Janice, we have questions this week. And so they'll send me the thing of questions and I'll find answers for them, or I'll answer them for them, however that works. So
I asked you before we began the show, I said, how long have you been doing or have been involved in the rock steady boxing? You said you've been familiar with and working with it for somewhere in the vicinity of more than half a decade now.
6.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and obviously for you to have invested that much time and energy and expertise and carried it to the level where you actually are now part of the Rock Steady Boxing, the national program, and bringing that here to Melbourne, Florida, that really has to say something about your belief in the effectiveness of this program.
Yeah. Doing physical therapy over all these years, and you work with people and they, you see that all those balance exercises and strengthening and core exercises work great.
Yeah.
But the problem with physical therapy is they go home and they don't keep doing it, so then you're seeing the person comes back like in, another, here's Mr. Johnson's back after, a year of not having physical therapy. So it's a repeat. This way, they just continue with it. And if they want to take a week off here and there, we usually just prorate the amount. They go on vacations or, they're like, I just need a break this week or, and that's fine. But they realize that taking those breaks is really not beneficial for them because when they stop doing the program, I've heard so many times when they've gone for weeks or a month away, they come back, they're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe after the second week of not doing this or the third day, even not coming to boxing, how different my body felt.
I've heard from physical therapists and occupational therapists, I've heard this term, move it or lose it. And they're very serious about when somebody is bedridden that we want to keep things moving because, I guess there's only one way to coast and it's kind of downhill. And one of the things that you're impressing upon me as we're talking about this is the fact that when you do this and you get this into your routine, it's really helping you feel better day by day. And conversely, if you take a break, but you take too long of a break, then you're really having to climb up that hill again.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's not quite as steep, but it's definitely a hill.
Yeah. Yeah. So if somebody is hearing us and we're talking about Rock Steady Boxing, how do you prefer for people to get information? Do you want them to call you? Is there a website, a YouTube page? What are the best ways for people to learn more about Rock Steady Boxing?
I say call me because then that gets you, just call the number. That's my phone. I answer. There's a message if I don't. And leave a message because a lot of times they won't, So leave that message on there because I will call you back within a day or two and come in and watch a class. And that's the best thing is to come in, sit and watch and see what we do. 99% of the time when someone comes to watch a class, when it's not even halfway done, they're like, where do I sign up?
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. So is that evident just being the spectator?
Yes.
Wow. So how do people reach you then?
My phone number?
Yes.
321-693-9246.
Okay. And I'll have you, we'll put it up on the screen, but I also want you to say it one more time.
321-693-9246.
And if somebody wanted to come out and check out a class, they should just give you a call and say,
yeah, they can either call me or just stop in. Our doors are always open. We just keep it. I've had so many people just stopping in. I'm like, did I talk to you? Because I don't know who I talked to and who I know. So, and they're like, no, we just our doctor told us about it, or my friend told us about it. So here we are.
Yeah,
So, and that's fine too. You can just show up at the class times. You can find the class times online, or if you call me, I can tell you what, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10:15, 12:45, and 2:30 are the 3 times. The 2:30 class is if you're using a walker, cane, or something like that, and you need a little extra help around. But the 2 earlier classes at 10:15 and 12:45, that's where you're gonna higher functioning and you're pretty independent.
You mentioned being able to go online. Is there a site that we ought to share that people could go and learn more?
Right now, my website is being transferred, so I don't know if it's going to be the same as it was. So I'd rather just
have somebody give a call. And
give a call right
again,
now.
That phone number. Let's go through that phone number.
321-693-9246.
We're talking with Janice Moia of Rock Steady Boxing at Advance Fitness. What a great opportunity this is for people to find a proactive way that's going to make a difference for them. That's what we always talk about in the helping seniors world. We want to find a way to connect people to the resources that are going to make a difference for them in their aging plan. And particularly, this seems to be really a breakthrough kind of thing for people who have a diagnosis of Parkinson's. And even, as you mentioned, some that have Parkinson-like challenges. So really the place to begin seems like give you a call, get an opportunity to get in there and see what this is all about and have it make a difference for you. Thank you, Janice Moia, for sharing your time today with us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, viewer, for joining us for this edition of Helping Seniors TV. See you again right back here for Helping Seniors Television. Let's work on our aging plans together.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses, and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.